So we're talking about cattle drives in my U.S. history course. So we're covering Western expansion from 1860 to the 1800 or to the 1890s. And, I started thinking, hey, everyone probably knows about famous cattle, Kansas cattle cowtowns. So we know Dodge City, we know Abilene, we know Wichita. But one that a lot of people don't talk about, way down here in the corner of southeastern Kansas, in Baxter Springs. So Baxter is going to be called the first cowtown, or the Kansas' first cowtown. There's a reason why. So, after the Civil War, there is a big demand for beef in the eastern part of the United States. And there's not a lot of beef growing down here, but there are millions of free-ranged, free-roaming Texas Longhorn cattle down here in Texas. There are millions of them. But there's no railroad in Texas, so the only way to get cattle from Texas to here back east is to take them to the nearest railroad, which this time happens to be in both Kansas City and Sedalia, Missouri. Well, the city of Baxter Springs, way down here in this corner, they are going to pay a bunch of bonds. You're going to get the MKT, Missouri, Kansas, Texas Railway, also known as the Katy, to come down to Baxter Springs. And so, in doing so, they're going to become the closest point to Texas with the railroad for them to move cattle from. And it works. They move a lot of cattle through there. The problem that there's a couple different problems that occur that kind of put it into Baxter being a cowtown. One is the MKT finally makes it all the way the rest of down Texas, which means you don't have to drive the cattle all the way up to Kansas to sell them. Two, Texas fever. Texas fever was a disease carried by Texas Longhorn cattle that if it got into a herd in Kansas or Missouri, it could kill off 10% of your herd. If your 10% of your herd dies, you're done. So quarantine zones start becoming established in Missouri and eastern Kansas. So those quarantine zones kind of keep pushing cattle drives, the ones that aren't going all the way down in Texas from the railroad, kind of keeps pushing them east to cities like where Wichita is going to be, Abilene's going to be, and eventually Dodge City. So, if you didn't know, now you know. Baxter Springs, Kansas, in southeastern Kansas, was one of Kansas's first cowtowns. Have a good day, guys. Peace.